The fragile pause is over. In the dead of winter, missiles once again tore through the skies above Kyiv. A ceasefire announced by President Donald Trump has collapsed, and Ukraine's capital is under fire. Ukrainian officials say Russia resumed large-scale strikes on Kyiv overnight, shattering hopes that freezing temperatures and diplomatic pressure would slow the war. Kyiv's military administration says the city was hit in the bitter cold with another massive strike, urging residents to remain inside shelters as explosions echoed across multiple districts. Officials later confirmed that at least 4 people were injured in the overnight barrage, with emergency crews racing to extinguish fires and rescue civilians trapped inside damaged buildings. According to multiple Telegram channels monitoring the attack, 2 Zircon hypersonic cruise missiles struck a 750-kilovolt substation in Kyiv, targeting critical energy infrastructure at a time when temperatures remain dangerously low. Other reports claim Iskander missiles were used in the assault, with at least 4 Iskander missiles striking Kyiv's CHP-4 power plant, a major electricity and heating facility for the capital. Ukraine's State Emergency Service says Russian drones also hit civilian infrastructure across several districts, damaging residential buildings, administrative offices, and a preschool facility. Video footage from the scene shows flames engulfing the upper floors of a high-rise residential building as firefighters battled large blazes caused by the strikes. Local officials report that cars and power lines were destroyed in the attack, deepening concerns over energy shortages as Ukraine struggles to maintain heat and electricity through the winter. The renewed strikes come just days after a deadly Russian attack on a maternity hospital in southern Ukraine, further inflaming tensions and international outrage. Authorities in Zaporizhia say the hospital was struck around midday on Sunday, damaging the building and injuring at least 6 people. The blast sparked a fire in the gynecology reception area, which was later extinguished by emergency services. Homes in surrounding areas were also damaged, with 3 more civilians injured, according to Ukraine's State Emergency Service.
I work on the first floor of the gynecology admissions department. I was just going about my usual daily duties. There were no patients at the reception at that moment. Then I heard a very loud sound. A Shahed drone was flying.
And it was steadily drawing closer and closer. I quickly grabbed my phone and darted out into the hallway, and then suddenly there was an explosion.
Vladislav Hansyuk, we heard an explosion. We came in and are trying to clean up what's left. This is a physiotherapy office and we do cardiograms. Vladislav Hansyuk, I'm still in shock because of all the emotions. It's such a pity for this workplace where I've worked for 20 years.
These attacks come ahead of a new round of U.S.-brokered talks aimed at ending the war, set to take place this week in Abu Dhabi. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed that trilateral talks involving Ukraine, Russia, and the United States will be held on Wednesday and Thursday, following a brief postponement. The Kremlin also confirmed the talks, with spokesman Dmitry Peskov telling reporters that Russian officials would attend the meetings. Last week, President Trump said Russian President Vladimir Putin had agreed to stop striking Kyiv and various towns during periods of extreme cold.
And because of the cold, extreme cold, they have the same that we do. I personally asked President Putin not to fire on Kyiv and the cities and towns for a week during this. It's extraordinary. It's not just like cold, it's extraordinary cold, record-setting cold. Over there too, you're having the same. It's a big pile of bad weather, the worst. But it was they said they've never experienced cold like that. And I personally asked President Putin not to fire into Kyiv and the various towns for a week, and he agreed to do that. And I have to tell you, it was very nice. A lot of people said, don't waste the coal, you're not going to get that, and he did it, and we're very happy that they did it. That's correct. Because on top of everything else, that's not what they need is missiles coming into.
The Kremlin said the truce would last until Sunday, but did not explicitly link it to sub-zero temperatures. Ukraine, however, says Moscow continued its attacks despite the announcement, casting doubt on the credibility of the ceasefire. As diplomacy resumes behind closed doors, missiles and drones continue to fall on Ukrainian cities, raising urgent questions over whether talks can succeed while the war rages on the ground.
I did call up President Putin, and he's agreed, he's put it out to. They have the same cold wave that we do. Maybe different because it's pretty far away, but it's the equivalent. And Ukraine's a very cold country. It's much colder than us. It's colder than, they say, on average, it's Canada or colder. And on top of that, they have a tremendous cold wave. And I asked him if he wouldn't shoot for a period of 1 week, no missiles going into Kyiv or any other towns, and he's agreed to do it. So it's something. We settled 8 wars, and I think we're doing very well with Ukraine and Russia. For the first time, I'm saying that. I think we're going to maybe have some good news. We're losing 25,000 people a month are being killed in that war, ridiculous war. 25,000. It was 31,000 last month. Think of it. Young, beautiful kids, the kids of parents, their parents. It doesn't affect us in one way, but in another way, it's 25,000 souls that if I can solve it, we're not spending money like Biden did. He gave $350 billion away. I make everyone pay. And the United Nations, they're a little bit involved, but if you take a look at what's happening, the countries of Europe are paying us for the weapons. So we have NATO paying, we send missiles over there, they pay us in full. It doesn't cost us 10 cents. And we make money, I guess, but I don't even want to talk about that, because what I really want to do is save those people from dying. They lose, Mary, can you imagine 25,000 to 30,000 people a month? That's like a stadium full of people every single month. And, I was blessed with something where I can get these things done. Got 8 of them done. I thought all 8 were going to be more difficult than this one. I thought my relationship with President Putin would give us a, much easier road. But there's tremendous hatred between Zelensky and Putin. Tremendous hatred. It's a shame, but it's taken longer than we thought. I did call up President Putin, and he's agreed. He's put it out to. They have the same cold wave that we do. Maybe different because it's pretty far away, but it's the equivalent. And Ukraine's a very cold country. It's much colder than us. It's colder than, they say, on average, it's Canada or colder. And on top of that, they have a tremendous cold wave. And I asked him if he wouldn't shoot for a period of 1 week, no missiles going into Kyiv or any other towns, and he's agreed to do it. So it's something.
Donald Trump claims he personally asked Vladimir Putin not to launch attacks on Kyiv and other cities for a week, and allegedly Vladimir Putin personally agreed to do so, like a letter, a call, and so on. And I'd also like to recall the words of Vladimir Vladimirovich. He said that Ukrainians are asking not to be attacked, yet they themselves every single day are essentially striking civilian targets. How would you comment on all of this?
In response to this, I can confirm that it is true. President Trump did make a personal request to President Putin.
Refrain from carrying out any strikes against Kyiv for a period of 1 week until the first day of February.
For the purpose of creating favorable conditions for the negotiations. That's what I can say on this topic.
But they are indeed continuing. Dmitry Sergeyevich?
I have nothing further to say on this subject.
So, does that mean the Kremlin agreed to this proposal?
Yes, absolutely. There was a personal address by President Trump.
Until February 1st. Does that mean including February 1st or not including February 1st? And could you tell me from what date does it start?
This topic is exhausted.
Just today, Zelensky stated that the Ukrainian side is not ready for any compromises, neither on Donbas issues nor on the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, because according to him, such decisions could lead to a violation of the country's territorial integrity, and Zelensky says he will not surrender Donbas and the ZNPP without a fight. Has the Kremlin seen such statements, and how do they assess this, as simply bravado or an attempt to disrupt the emerging negotiation process?
Naturally, we have seen these statements. The first thing to note here in this context is, of course, that the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant has been under the control of the Russian Federation for over 2 years. And here, one question arises. Does this mean that the Kyiv regime is preparing to advance through fighting? Is he trying to recapture this nuclear power plant, or is he going to launch an attack on the nuclear power station? And as for Donbas, the developments on the front speak for themselves, and in this regard, it's probably not worth adding anything more.
Today, Zelensky also stated that he refuses to go to negotiations in Moscow, and in turn, he invited Putin to come to Kyiv. Dmitry Sergeyevich, could you tell us how the Kremlin reacted to this?
And we've also seen these statements, and in fact, we've heard a great many statements over the past few days, and even in the last few hours, to be precise. Well, here perhaps I would like to remind everyone, and I must remind everyone that proactively, Putin himself did not invite Zelensky anywhere at all. He didn't offer any meeting to Zelensky. It was Zelensky who asked for a meeting, and Zelensky, in fact, is initiating the meeting. And in response, President Putin told him, yes, we are ready, but only in Moscow. It's very important to remember this.
Guterres stated that the UN believes, unlike Greenland, the principle of self-determination cannot be applied to the situation with Crimea and Donbas as it was with Greenland. In our case, the principle of territorial integrity prevails, according to him. How did the Kremlin perceive such UN conclusions?
We consider such conclusions profoundly erroneous from the perspective of international law. We disagree with these findings and have our own well-known, well-reasoned position.